发表言论的权利，他批评政府的权利，也应该得到一种基本保障。
Nobel Peace Laureate Liu Xiaobo died on Thursday after a battle with liver cancer at the age of 61. China's most prominent political prisoner, Liu embodied the hopes of the 1989 Tiananmen Square democracy movement and was often likened to Nelson Mandela. Liu was serving an 11-year prison sentence for inciting subversion. He was granted medical parole in June to receive treatment under police watch at a northeastern China hospital. His final days were the subject of a diplomatic standoff between China and Western countries, which called on Beijing to let the laureate travel to Germany or the US to receive treatment.
Ich kann Ihnen aber versichern, dass der Bundeskanzlerin dieser tragische Fall Liu Xiaobo ein großes Anliegen ist und dass sie sich ein Zeichen der Humanität für Liu Xiaobo und seine Familie wünschen wird.
Footage of foreign doctors visiting Liu circulated online. It's still unclear who shot the video, but Liu Xiaobo's supporters say authorities may have helped leak images to show that the prisoner was receiving proper care. Germany called it a breach of doctor-patient confidentiality. The hospital hasn't commented, while the government, which has been accused of leaking other footage before, declined to answer questions about Liu or the video, warning the West against meddling in China's affairs.
Why China cannot let him out? And he is not a prisoner. He's falsely accused, wrongly being put in jail.
Liu was born in Jilin province, in northeastern China, to an intellectual family. In 1984, he became a lecturer in Chinese literature at Beijing Normal University. He developed a reputation for acerbic attacks on the cultural establishment of the time, which he dismissed as weak and backward-looking. In 1989, he was a visiting scholar at Columbia University, but flew back to China to join the pro-democracy demonstrations in Tiananmen Square, where he quickly became a pivotal figure. After the army opened fire on the student-led protests on June 4th, he helped persuade students to leave the square, hoping to prevent additional bloodshed.
6四毕竟死了那么多人，而且不是天灾死的，是被共产党的枪，刺刀坦克，那么这个性质是极其恶劣、极其严重的。
After Tiananmen, Liu didn't leave the country like many other protest leaders. Instead, he spent 2 years in jail, the start of a long string of imprisonments. In 1996, he was sentenced to 3 years in a labor camp after attacking the government's policies on Taiwan and Tibet. That same year, he married his wife, the poet Liu Xia. He would later describe her as the source of inspiration that allowed him to survive his prison stints. In 2008, Liu worked with a small group of activist writers and scholars to draft Charter 08, which called for democratic reforms like free elections and separation of powers. The document was signed by more than 300 human rights activists, intellectuals, and former Communist Party officials.
而且照我看起来，中国要走向现代化的政治，要走向民主跟法治的话，只能走这样一条道路。
He was arrested 2 days before the release of the manifesto, and was later sentenced to what would be his final prison term.
We congratulate Liu Xiaobo with this year's Peace Prize.
In 2010, Liu was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, a move that infuriated Chinese authorities, who described him as a criminal. The government refused to let Liu or any of his family members attend the ceremony. An empty chair represented Liu in Oslo. His wife was placed under house arrest.
但是我真的没想到，他得了奖，我不能出门了。这个事情是我一直觉得太荒谬了。
From that point on, the government kept a tight grip on information about Liu, until the news of his cancer in June. As Chinese President Xi Jinping stifles dissent, the hope for democratic reforms in China is fading. China defends its one-party model as suited to the country's conditions.
There's too many Liu Xiaobo there, and also they get much worse treatment than Liu Xiaobo.
Under heavy police guard until the end, the country's loudest voice for political change has now gone quiet.